topic I'm going to cover is something that always bothers us because we are a country that has seen a 30-year war with a group of terrorists. It affected the lives not only of those who were directly fighting in the war, but of the whole country, because there was always a threat on their lives, as well as it affected the development, the movement of the country. We suffered through it for 30 years. Then we had the Easter attacks in 2019. As generations that have been through this, or as a young generation who has seen both of these, national security is at the top of your mind. But I think we have to, national security is difficult to define simply. National security in Sri Lanka suffered as much as during the war, during the last economic crisis. We had insecurity in energy. There was no electricity for much of the day. We didn't have fuel. That alone can bring an entire country to a standstill. We had insecurity in food because there was a new policy on fertilizer which was badly thought through, and that brought about a collapse in the agriculture sector. Then we had insecurity in health, and so on and so forth. You would remember the bad times we had 2 years ago. And this meant we suffered economically. We fell right to the bottom as a country. We didn't have the money to procure a cylinder of gas. So national security in that context is a wider area than just than securing or defending the territorial integrity of a country. So this is why a new role has been created. The National Security Secretariat, which has a National Security Advisor to the President. We haven't still brought the legislation. The legislation will follow very soon, and it's coming as part of an omnibus legislation. An omnibus piece of legislation is a group of pieces of legislation that cover a common area. So we have 3 pieces of law: the National Security Secretariat, the CDS Act, which is being reworked, and the National Institute of Strategic Studies. All 3 of this will come in the omnibus legislation. The National Security Secretariat will not be restricted or will not only cover defense or national security in that sense. It will cover economic security, the energy security, and so on and so forth, the things that we... And like I said, you can't define it specifically. It can be defined fairly widely. But along with this, we also have to now revamp our intelligence agencies. We are a country that, like I said, went through this 30-year war, and our intelligence agencies are still focused on a wartime intelligence. Wartime intelligence and peacetime intelligence are 2 different things. Of course, they both have to cover the territorial integrity, but it is far wider than that, and we have now started revamping those with the help of some friendly and like-minded nations. And it will also include a foreign branch, which we had previously structured under the Foreign Ministry. The intelligence agencies generally come under the Ministry of Defense, but the foreign branch comes under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Post-war, and especially post-economic crisis, we've also seen that we need to revamp our security forces. We need to modernize them. We need to find out what our role is now. Are we preparing for war? Are we preparing to face the challenges we have in the region? Are we preparing to play that support role, or the role we have in ensuring a free and open Indian Ocean, a maritime role, that is? So the President, His Excellency the President, has appointed a high-level committee to present a report to him on what our defense strategy should be. It's called the Defense Review 2030. So we're looking forward at 2030. We're looking beyond that at 2048. We're starting at the very basics, right sizing. For the war, we had to build up from a ceremonial force, which had about 45,000 troops in all three forces, to an army of about 500,000, Army, Navy, and Air Force of about 500,000. Now, naturally, the numbers have come down. But what do we need? What are the numbers we need? What is our role? What is the strategy we have? So this Defense Review 2030 is going to undertake that. And it will tell us how many troops we'll need in each force. We will bring it, then it will talk about our role in the Indian Ocean. It will talk about our preparedness to defend our territorial integrity, what we require to, and the modernization we need to do to keep up with the current times in all of this. It's a big exercise, especially for a country that faced bankruptcy 2 years ago, but is now on the verge of coming out of it with the bilateral creditors and the independent creditors on the verge of coming to agreement with the government of Sri Lanka on restructuring the loans. But we'll have to take into account our financial situation also in this whole strategy. So that's where we are in terms of how we are preparing. What is our maritime role? That is the most critical question at the moment. Everybody wants a piece of Sri Lanka's location, not to come and occupy it, but to be able to work with Sri Lanka in the Indian Ocean and its role in policing the Indian Ocean or ensuring the freedom of navigation. So it's a fine line that we will have to walk. We have at the moment brought in a moratorium on research vessels, and we are just about to impose a moratorium on any ships. We are trying to ascertain the capabilities we want to build up and the capabilities that we are able to build up. So we have taken a year off to do that. How we're going to equip ourselves to do what we want to do in maritime research, oceanography or whatever. Additionally, hydrography is something that we had always done in partnership with somebody else. Other third parties came in, did the hydrography in our waters, and they sold the maps, and we got a part of the fee. Like in the ships, we've now decided that this is something that we want to ascertain how we do ourselves. We brought in a new law. It's been to Parliament, it's a past Parliament. Sri Lanka Navy will lead the hydrography effort. Australia and Japan have already indicated their willingness to help us to build up our capabilities. And using these capabilities, Sri Lanka will do its own hydrography exercises. We will produce the maps. We will be selling the maps. This will not only ensure better security, but will also bring some return to us. So these are some significant moves that we have undertaken, which I explained to you in just about under 10 minutes. I don't want to take much longer because there are many speakers backed up at the moment. There's going to be a session by Dr. Samaratunga soon on the economy. So I'll allow him to do that. And I'm happy to answer any questions if there is such a